This is TWiT.
Once upon a time, bots were all the rage. In fact, that time was not very long ago, but in the past year, many have been disillusioned by bots as they've been constantly associated with troll farms and being the tools of those who might hope to influence social media minds and spread their own messages of propaganda. They've proven to be very effective in that regard. But figuring out who or what's a bot online isn't always that easy. And joining us is Ash Bhatt and Rohan Fateh, two UC Berkeley computer science students who are working to expose these kinds of bot accounts for what they are. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. It's great to get you both here. We appreciate you hopping on to talk to us about your work. So first of all, what is it about these bot accounts that makes them so difficult to discern to the average Twitter user? What would you say?
Yeah, they're pretty sophisticated in the sense that they're employing a lot of tactics that wouldn't seem like a bot at first glance. For example, they'll do things like mix moderated content, like where someone actually tweets out with a bunch of automated content as well. So like at a first glance, you might just be like, oh, this is a guy who retweets a lot. And then you go in and you start looking at the retweets and you're like, these tweets were posted every 2 minutes for a whole day. There's no way a human did that. But a lot of different things like that. We've also noticed really sophisticated things around compromised accounts. We've noticed that a lot of these bots were historically human help or accounts that were operated by humans before, and then they were turned into these they were compromised, bought, and then turned into these bot accounts, which then have followers that are actually real humans who've been following their friends who've been compromised.
And then to add on to that, there's a lot of these accounts that are sometimes moderated, which means that they can be semi-automated accounts where they are retweeting many of these political tweets in the network. But then there are times where a human will actually get onto the network and tweet some original content every now and then. So presumably to get around, just basic algorithms to catch these bots that are just, retweeting. So it makes it actually look like a real human.
That happened to me, actually. I got my Twitter handle in 2008, and then I never used it for years and years and years until 2015. And sometime in that point, there was it had been compromised. My password had been stolen, and there were tweets that were just getting coffee at Starbucks in my minivan. That is not crazy. Me. And so, yeah, I've seen that happen. So what inspired you to create this project? Rohan, let's start with you. What inspired you to create this?
Yeah, so actually back in May, Ash and I were working on this. We actually tried building another detector, and this was a detector for Facebook. And what we noticed is that there was a lot of this talk about fake news, a lot of news, basically a lot of news was on Facebook, and a lot of people thought that this was disingenuous. There were a lot of claims against that Facebook was promoting this fake news. So what we decided to do is we tried to build a classifier that would identify these news articles and put our own input. We would actually research this stuff up and identify the user if this was fake news or not. We'd also try to give a political bias estimate of these articles as well, so that users could be informed whether they're only listening to one side of the story or the other, and hopefully that they would be able to reach out and check the other side as well. And we basically had this algorithm on Facebook, and from there, we got a lot of attention there, and a lot of people really loved the tool. We decided to move on to other social networks, and one of the other things we tried to apply it to was Twitter. But one of the problems with just applying it to Twitter was that we had these accounts that were, I guess, kind of making the algorithm give out some really weird answers, really weird results. There were some very, very politically charged accounts. And upon further inspection, we saw that these accounts were seemed to be very non-human-like. They were constantly, again, like Ash said, constantly retweeting some of these fake news stories or propaganda accounts, news very, very quickly. And so upon looking further into this, we saw that this was actually just a new class of accounts. And from there, we built tried to do some research, build a new classifier so we could help users identify some of these accounts.
And of course, a lot of the work that you've done, at least on the Twitter side of things, has resulted in a Google Chrome browser extension called botcheck.me. Tell us a little bit about what that's doing behind the scenes, how that's kind of how that's such an effective tool.
Yeah, definitely. So what's happening with botcheck.me is that we have a website and a Chrome extension. You can install the Chrome extension and it'll start applying these buttons to all the tweets on Twitter. You can hit the button and it'll essentially tell you what our prediction is. But essentially what's happening in the background behind this Chrome extension is we have a server running a model, a machine learning model. Essentially what happens when you type in a username is we hit the Twitter API, get all of their information. We featureize the heck out of like the information that we get. So we're like looking at like over like several hundred different characteristics. So that this goes from like the created at date. We're looking at like bio, like hashtags, and then we also break down like the actual tweets themselves, and then we featureize those. So we'll like take out like really commonly like tweeted hashtags, and we have a whole thing where like we take all your last 200 tweets and turn them into like just a ton of characteristics. And from there, we vectorize that, and we're able to feed that into our machine learning model, which then outputs a result, which we serve to our user.
And what about false positives? I imagine it's not 100% accurate. So how do you deal with that and recognizing that?
Yeah. Doing it.
Yeah, sure. So we have some false positives, and a lot of these, for the most part, it seems pretty good. We've had a couple thousands of queries, and for the most part, most people seem to be like agreeing with the results. But we do have ideas that you can hit a disagree button on the Chrome extension, and the mod will take that into account, and the model will essentially learn from these different accounts that are being misclassified, and we can get a better and better model as this goes on.
Yeah, and like the really cool thing about it is that in the past day, the model has actually learned. So we launched like I guess 48 hours ago now, and like in that time period, people have been hitting that disagree button, and we've been applying heuristics to just look at these like users that have been disagreeing with our model, and then applying those changes to a new training set, which we then like have outputted as a new model. So like you'll notice that the accuracy continues to improve as more and more people use it.
We should be specific that these are like propaganda bots or not. I mean, there's some bots that are good. Like I have a lot of bots that I follow that remind me to take a drink of water when I'm on Twitter too much, or tell me when Donald Trump likes a tweet, just because sometimes I get entertained by that. So there are some good bots.
Yeah, that's a great clarification. Yeah, this is very specific in the sense of what this goes after. This is going after political propaganda on Twitter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, there are other cool bots. There, like I think mentioned, there's a bot that tweets out every word in English language. It's kind of like a funny little test bot. There's a lot of these other bots out there that are mostly harmless, but we want to isolate on the true problem, which are these political propaganda accounts, which have in some cases been taken over by from legitimate accounts. And so someone that you may have followed 4 years ago is now tweeting some of these political propaganda, some of it's fake news. And as you're scrolling down, you might see this news and you might actually believe some of the cases. So we just want to make sure that these users who are using Twitter can understand what's going on in their network and what are the news that they see.
Have you, in your work in this regard, have you heard from Twitter? I mean, it's kind of surprising that that Twitter wouldn't be doing something like this on its own. Are they aware of the work that you're doing, and have they been involved with you at all?
Yeah, so like that's one thing we've been a little bit confused by. We've had quite a bit of great outreach from a few different Silicon Valley companies. Like before and like after, like just in terms of like saying congratulations, great work, things like that. But not a peep from Twitter so far.
That's really funny. I mean, because did they know that you were invited to WWDC when you were 16 years old, Ash?
I don't know.
And that you had dinner with Steve Wozniak?
Yeah, that was several years ago. Yeah,
we're helping your public knowledge of your profile.
I want to talk about this, but we read about you in this great profile in Wired, and I loved your story because you guys met when you were in like junior high, right, or elementary school, taking junior high classes.
Yeah, that's right. So we were both in. We knew about each other in like elementary school. There was like a small group of kids that like would take like these junior high classes, but we met in junior high. We both had like a ton of shared classes in junior high, and like we've just known each other since.
Yeah, a lot of shared interests as well.
And did you both hack Snapchat, or was that just one of you?
Yeah, that was just me. But like that was a super interesting and weird like hackathon.
So was that a hackathon? And did you not expect that you were going to actually be able to hack them? Tell us that story.
Yeah, so Snapchat just always got a bad rap for all the spam that it had like back in the day, and so I was just kind of curious as to like how bad their security really was, and so like I gave it like 6 hours. We were like my team and I were just looking through like their APIs, and we were looking through like how the app was structured, and we figured out how to create accounts programmatically. And essentially, there was like a sponsor there called DigitalOcean, and they were giving out free like DigitalOcean credits. And so we used these credits. We parallelized a bunch of instances where we were just creating a bunch of Snapchat accounts, and then we sent snaps to every single user on Snapchat at the time.
Wow. That's impressive.
That is impressive.
That's some power right there. So, yeah, you've dubbed this collaboration, or at least your collaboration together, is it Robot or Robot Labs?
It's Robot.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, which is awesome. I don't know if that's an unofficial name, but it's very clever. Where do you envision this whole thing going from here? You've had your hands in a number of kind of bot efforts at this point. Is that kind of your focus going forward right now?
Yeah, as of now, that is our focus. We really want to be impactful in the different tech that we develop, and like we've been really happy with like the impact we've been able to make. And with BotCheck.me, it's just really like satisfying to see like we've just gotten such an outreach of like support from like the Twitter community, and like it's really cool to think of this as like the community itself taking a problem that Twitter isn't solving into their own hands and actually actively making like getting more transparency and like solving this problem for themselves.
I'm really excited to see what you guys do next. And I'm not saying you're going to be called in front of the Senate for any hearings, but when you do, you guys should go. Don't send your lawyers, okay?
They're like, I don't know if I want to do that, actually. That's a pretty raw deal.
Everyone should go read the profile on Wired and go check out their website, botcheck.me. You guys are, I know, going to do something amazing next.
Yeah, you guys are doing some great work. Ashbot and Rohan Fateh, really appreciate you taking time to talk with us today. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Keep up the good work.